Make a pick and roll with it. Make a pick and roll with it. Betting weekly fast break. From coast to coast and way downtown. From coast to coast and way downtown.
Red hot. We are white hot here on Betting Weekly Fast Break. 5-0 combined record so far this week, and we have 4 games in the W to break down over the next little bit. Welcome in to Betting Weekly Fast Break. I'm Doug Kezirian alongside professional handicapper Wes Reynolds. Wes, good to be with you, my friend.
Yeah, good to be aboard. Big slate tonight in the W.
It sure is. And we only had a couple games here and there the first couple nights, but we were seeing the ball really well. Last night, I did not get there with a Sabrina prop, so that was annoying. I did that on my own. But the Liberty bounced back with a strong performance, very business-like, workman-like, covered the spread on the road, wire to wire, led by 7 at the break, won by 8. And Liberty shot 14 of 28 from downtown, a high-scoring game, a second half that had over 100 points. So really remarkable shooting for both teams. 105-97, New York gets the win in L.A. Now they're in Vegas. This game on ESPN. Aces, 3-point home favorites. Liberty still without Brianna Stewart, but Mieselman's playing big minutes. They have a bunch of people scoring double digits, so really balanced attack. It's not just Sabrina, but it runs through Sabrina, and she has to draw such attention. High over-under here at Bet Rivers 172. What kind of performance do you expect from the Liberty, who had a nice bounce back after getting handled by the Lynx, and they get the nice road win, but it's back-to-back with slight travel here.
Yeah, and they're getting an Aces team that all of a sudden have won 4 in a row, and now I believe are in the 5 spot with the Fevers lost to Dallas, a bad loss at home to the Wings. Now they're in the 6th spot, and the Aces, I believe, are in the 5, where they were kind of, on that line, 7 or 8, really, but have won 4 in a row. They now get the Liberty. Impressive offensive performance, but a high-paced game and a bad defensive team that they were playing last night in the LA Sparks. And all the props, curiously, by the way, last night got bet to the under. All the player props and most of them went over. John Cal Jones, Emma Mieseman, Febich, all the Sparks players, Plum, Hamby, Stevens, et cetera, et cetera. So high-scoring games. So would expect maybe a little bit better. It should be at least a little bit better defense tonight, because the Sparks just near the bottom defensively. They just can't stop anything at the rim. So the Aces certainly can, though, with Wilson and the combination of Smith. Ever since they put Jewel Lloyd off the bench, I think the Aces have been playing much better and playing some of those younger players in the starting lineup. Well, they're not giving you big numbers. I think they've had more of a rhythm, and they've looked better and winning 4 in a row. I did not bet this game and have not as of yet. I don't disagree with the move necessarily to the Aces. They opened as 2. Now you're pretty much seeing 3 almost exclusively across the board, including at Bet Rivers. So I don't necessarily agree. That's probably the back-to-back factor with the Liberty team. By the way, it's still shorthanded. Liberty, by the way, I think how many did they play last night? 7? I think they only played 7 players last night. I will double check. Actually 8, but only 1. Gardner played 5 minutes. So you're essentially in a 7-player rotation. So I do wonder about the Liberty in a back-to-back situation with no Stewart. Also, we know Naira Sabali has been out. Isabel Harrison is out with a concussion. That's why they had such a short rotation last night. So I don't disagree with the move on the Aces.
Okay, so you're saying you expect a little better defense in this game. Sparks push the pace too. Now the Aces push the pace as well. They like to get the offense going. Chelsea Gray, no stranger to throwing up ahead passes, so to speak. They do run things through Asia, who should feast on either Jonquel or Mieselman, who's ever guarding her. She's just so much more athletic. You mentioned the movement of the starting lineup with Jewel Lloyd going to the bench. I think Becky Hammond's done a great job in that regard. So I do lean to the Aces, but I'm just going to play the team total. I don't want to have to fade the Liberty shooting and stuff because they really spread the ball around well. I mean, Sabrina only had like 13 points or something like that. So Phoebus isn't missing. Jonquel Jones isn't missing. Johannes is wonderful off the bench. So I'm going to go team total over for the Aces. I just really am confident in their ability to score. So Aces team total over. It should be in the neighborhood of around 87.5. So that's what I'm seeing. So I'll play that once it gets posted at Bet Rivers. Do you have any plays or props that you want to at least talk out or go official
Yeah,
with?
nothing that I've played at least yet so far. I think some of the prop market's been a little bit slow today with anything of note. Sabrina was hit to the under, and she did go under again last night. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a guy that I like to kind of buy low in some of these. So if you were thinking that, then you'd want to play her over, but something's been off. She hasn't been shooting well. She hasn't really been, I think, she had that 37-point game against Connecticut, but she's gone under, I believe, 4 straight times. If you look at the points for Sabrina, it was 20.5 last night, 14, 19.5 against the Lynx, and she had 10, 20.5 against Dallas, 16, and then 23.5 the game before off that 36-point game against Connecticut, only had 9. So I don't know. Part of me wants to buy low, but I think I'm going to resist that urge and go ahead and pass on this one.
I think it's a great breakdown, Wes. I was on her over yesterday because I just thought the Sparks were so bad. They had 30 points. I mean, the Liberty scored 30 points in the first quarter. She didn't have one attempt. She consumes the opposing team's defense. They were not going to let her beat her. She has everyone's attention. She made her first 3. I mean, she does shoot well. She's just getting so many looks. So when she faced the Lynx, she was getting Dejanay Carrington guarding her, and her athleticism is so good, and that was limiting Sabrina. But Sparks don't have anyone like that, but they have team defense, and they were helping onto her. And she's a willing passer. She sees the court well. She was rebounding, distributing, and that helped them win. And her teammates were hitting shots. So she didn't need to gun a bunch like she did, I think, in that game against the Sun it was. So there's different philosophies with defense, whether it's smother Sabrina, make her teammates beat you, or just play it straight up, see what happens, and then maybe adjust along the way. So I agree that she's not in the best shape, or she's not the quickest offensive player. So maybe she's hitting a little bit of a wall. Again, no Stewie for a while here, but it's just not worth chasing the over 20.5. But I do agree with you. I like to buy the dip. And I did that yesterday. I was scrutinizing the game, and it just was painful to watch because the defense of the Sparks from a team defense standpoint was really locked in on her.
Yeah, and it opens it up. John Kell, you knew, was going to get her production, 21 and 11, by the way, last night. But that's part and parcel because Derek Hamby, not the best post defender. So John Kell Jones, I think, was going to get what she wanted, at least at the rim, even though she did hit 4 threes. So, you got to step out and respect her and guard her. Mieseman with 24, she's getting more comfortable. Phoebus actually was the big beneficiary. He only averages about 9 a game and had 20 last night. Tosh Cloud also in double figures. So, yeah, they were focusing on stopping Sabrina, and that opened it up, I think, for everybody else.
Yeah, and look, Sparks were right there. The Liberty just shot 14 of 28 from 3. I mean, you take away a couple of those, and we have a tie game with 4 minutes to go or something like that. So can't fault the Sparks' choice there. It just didn't work out. All right, another game on the docket I think is incredibly intriguing. This one on ESPN3, the Seattle Storm, losers of 5 straight, added Brittany Sykes during this run. It has not broke the losing streak. So they went from a home underdog to a home favorite now. They're 2.5. The over-under is 161.5. So we have the Storm that I backed, I think, after 2 losses. I was like, okay, this is a great spot. Fortunately, I have not been martingaling them or anything like that. But these were games that came down to the wire. It could easily be 5 straight wins, if you believe in regression and things like that. So what do you expect with Atlanta in town playing well, all things considered? But what do you expect to see from the Storm tonight in terms of this new lineup and riding 5 straight losses?
Yeah, now they are in the bubble spot in the playoffs. They're in the 8th spot. This team was, I think, top 4 for most of the early part of the regular season. And then you mentioned it, Doug, lost 5 in a row. That double overtime game at home to the Sparks is what's kind of started it. Then they lose by 4 that following Sunday to the Fever, lose by 4 to the Lynx, lose by 4 at Vegas, and then lose on a 3-point play converted by Derek Hamby, 5.6 left to go, and lose by 3. So they've been snake bit in a lot of these games. The last 2, you could kind of say, okay, they just got Brittany Sykes in the trade, so they got to incorporate her a little bit in the lineup and get used to different rotations, maybe with Wheeler getting some of her minutes cut and coming more off the bench. One of the good things about this losing streak is we have seen the emergence of Dominique Malonga, the 6'6" woman from France, who's gotten off to a little bit of a start, but boy, last couple games and really the last few games, starting to see her getting double digits, had 22 and 12 against the Aces, and then 20 and 11 last time out against the Sparks. So that's at least a good sign for Seattle. Somebody that was kind of looked at as a little bit of a high ceiling talented project, starting to actually give you some real production to go along with that potential. So I like the Storm, and I bet the Storm on the money line. I think at Rivers right now it's 139. Anywhere, I think there's some runway. Anywhere 130 to 140, I think is fine here, even though you're not getting necessarily the opening number. I like the Storm in this spot. The Dream, by the way, did beat Phoenix. A nice upset there on Sunday with the return of Ryan Howard, and they won 74 to 66. But this is where I think the Dream may miss Jordan Canada. Jordan Canada, by the way, got hurt last game, only played 25 minutes. So she is a no-go tonight, which is part and parcel the reason for the movement on the Storm. But yeah, I think that they're going to miss her. I know Pow Pow has some potential, the rookie out of South Carolina, but that's a big loss. I think losing, that first game without your, I think, most true point guard. So I think Atlanta's going to struggle a little bit, and I like the Storm tonight.
It's a great angle. I think you're right. I think I've said this a few times on the pod. The over in the Atlanta Dream win total was going to be my best bet coming into the season. But then Canada hurts her knee like the first minute of a preseason game. I'm like, oh gosh. And she was going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So I didn't know if she was out for the year. And then fortunately she's healthy enough to return and they're playing great. But I really liked the coach. I really liked the makeup of this team. Hillman's been great. She's probably the favorite for 6th player of the year. So when Brittany Griner comes back, Hillman will come off the bench, but Griner's not back. So they're out Canada and Griner. I just have issues with this Storm thing. Now, obviously, integrating Sykes to the starting lineup was going to take time. Her first game with Seattle, she came off the bench. So now she's starting. But Gabby Williams has been a disaster offensively in so many ways. Magmador has been weak offensively. Nneka is a shell of her MVP self. She's still an all-star, but she's not quite the MVP. And then Skylar Diggins is a good player, but she's just so methodical. She's a better version of HVL, right? She's just so fundamentally sound, kind of methodical. I just think they get sort of clunky and they don't get easy buckets. Now, Malonga, to your point, has emerged and been a nice weapon, 19 years old, and she's just so fluid. Her offensive game has become so much more fluid by the week. So it's really nice to see her development. But I just worry that this team gets too clunky and they lack fire. There's the competitive edge when you've lost a few in a row that's why I didn't want to pull the trigger after they had lost like 3 straight or 4 straight. I just get worried about them sometimes, and I don't know what it is. Do you see any of what I'm saying? Do you have any concern like I do with some of the flies in the ointment that I mentioned?
I guess to a degree, yes, but because these games have been such close losses, this isn't like,
Right.
oh man, we're playing terrible. Like we're just a dreadful team. They certainly have their flaws like everybody else, but this is a veteran team. This is a team with 3 players with double-digit years of experience. So you could say, okay, they're getting long in the tooth, but they're still productive too. Like Skylar Diggins is still productive. Erica Wheeler off the bench still productive.
Oh, yeah.
Nneka is still productive. I mean, maybe not at the peak that she was when she was younger, but still productive. Tiffany Mitchell, 9th year. Brittany Sykes, 8th year. So this is a veteran team. So if there is a team that you can trust that can figure out, the struggles and weather the storm, no pun intended, so to speak, of a losing streak, it's this team. And I don't really love the coach. I think the better coach in this game is clearly on the Atlanta bench, Carl Semesco. But I'm gonna say that the Storm, it's like, okay, we're 500 now. Like, we got to get it together because all of a sudden we're not a lock to make the playoffs, which you thought was a total sure thing. With the Valkyries still there and the LA Sparks just one game back. So yeah, if you're Seattle, this is kind of the back against the wall spot here against an Atlanta team in their first game without a point guard on the road, back-to-back road games, even though they've had a couple days in between. They played on Sunday. I think the Storm, I'm going to trust that they put it together and kind of have that rally around the family game tonight.
And in fairness, the Storm, when they lost to the Fever hit so many threes in that game. And Kelsey Mitchell didn't play that great, but the supporting cast did. The Sparks played great against them. That double overtime game, they had the game won. There was a bad review off. Like Skylar hit it off Kelsey Plum's thigh in the final minute. So they easily could have won all 5 games, frankly, or at least 3 of them. So you're right. It's not completely spiraling or anything like that. I just get frustrated. To your point about the coach, I like her, I don't love her. It's just that the sense of urgency. I don't know if it's the middle of the season thing. We'll see, but it's good to see Ryan Howard back healthy for the Dream, but unfortunately they're down 2 starters with Griner and Canada out. So good breakdown there. Just want to remind everyone, if you like what you hear on our show, sign up for the newsletter, get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. We're going to try to stay hot on this show, but don't forget about some fun promotions at Bet Rivers. Give WNBA same game parlays a shot tonight with the second chance parlay promotion. Opt in and get up to 50% of your bet back if your 3-leg WNBA same game parlay loses. See the Bet Rivers app for more details. So we got 2 more games to break down. Let's go to the nation's capital. Mystics, 1-point home favorites over the Valkyries. $1.49 is your over-under. So that's certainly a low total. Good defense is one of the Valkyries' calling cards. Now, Washington, we thought was tanking, trading really Sykes, but also Leah Edwards, right? The Sykes trade she was one of their all-stars. They shipped her off, but they're coming off a nice road win, and they're still in the mix for that final playoff spot. Do you expect any funny business here? Because we know Golden State's going for the playoffs. Do you expect any funny business from the Mystics? Because some of those lineups in the last game were pretty questionable.
I don't know if there's necessarily funny business. And I guess you could make a case that, okay, they're tanking, but they're not really, because I do think that the players are still trying. Like, I still think that they're giving efforts. I know they had that kind of,
The players always.
they had that kind of, let's call it what it was, a turd of a performance there at Chicago where they lose 78-64. But right there with the Lynx could never get away from them. And then they pulled away in the second half at Dallas. So you're seeing they are looking toward the future. I think clearly they're absolutely looking forward to the future. I think in Washington, and know that they have, I think, a ton of good young pieces there with Arafin, with Sonia Citrone, with Sheldon is not even who they acquired in that Aaliyah Edwards deal. She's only in them like 3rd year. So, and also keep in mind, Georgia Moore, of course, has not played all year due to injury, but yeah, they're kind of trying to mix it up a little bit and incorporate. Part of that was incorporating JC Sheldon. They also got Clark in that trade, Alicia Clark, who wasn't productive there in Seattle, really, and that was a point of consternation within the whole team. She was dealt as part of that Brittany Sykes deal. So I'm trying to figure out what to make of this game, to be honest with you, Doug, because I'm not sure what to make of this game, because I don't think the Mystics are throwing in the towel, but they are thinking maybe bigger picture. Like, if they don't make the playoffs, it's not a disaster necessarily. Whereas the Valks have been, I think, kind of on that periphery of playoff contention all year. So, they're a little bit used to it. From injuries, I saw Shakira Austin listed as questionable for Washington. And also on the Valk side, besides the players that have already been out, Kate Martin, questionable, who's kind of been in and out of the lineup, Kate Martin. So, I don't know necessarily what they're doing with her.
Yeah, we've talked about that a few times. No, I agree with you. Valkyries are all in on the playoff hunt, even losing Burton for the year. Thornton for the year. We have some chiming in on the comments section. I love it. Going back to Seattle, that Seattle game, Dirty Reg 22. I don't think Seattle can beat the Dream tonight, even without Canada. I think Pow fills in well. Not saying I'm 100% sure, just my feels. Good to weigh in. Adam Osimo for this Mystics Valkyries game. Sug Sutton under 8.5 points. Last game, the Wings, she scored 0 points, gone under in 6 of her last 7 games. I'd say be careful with some of the unders in last game because Sykes being out changes everything. So I would focus on more recent history, just the last couple games. Now, if she's going under those two, that's fine. But Sutton is different animal without Sykes on the roster, right? And then PD chime in, and I like that SS Sug Sutton idea as well. So it's good to get the collaborative effort here. And we encourage everyone to join the conversation. Let us know what you like, what you dislike, things you want to see on the show, or bets you are considering and want our opinion. It's a low total. I do think the Valkyries defense, I lean Valks here. I think they were our big bet on Monday. That was my hammer job. I thought it was a great spot. They took care of business. We're catching the Connecticut Sun in back-to-back road games. This is different. I think this is going to come down to the wire. I just don't think the Mystics can get it done with Shakira Austin banged up. Stephanie Dolson starting. I know she led the W in 3-point percentage a year ago. She just hasn't been the same this year. She's a giant liability defensively. I think the Valkyries are going to score at will if Dolson has to play defense because they hunt mismatches because they screen so well. I think the Valkyries are just going to be a sharper team tonight. I'll take the Valkyries. I do like the Mystics a lot because I love Citron and Kiki, but I'll take the Valkyries +1. They need this game. They want this game. They called last Saturday's game against the Sparks, I believe, a must win. They got it. They took care of business Monday. I think they're going to be all business. I'm on the Valks +1 here.
Last time, by the way, they played was the last day in July. It was 68-67, goes well under the total of 153.5. Now you're getting the discount, though. Now you're seeing that, the adjustment has been made, 149.5. I'd still lean under, but I'm going to leave this one alone if I'm not sure of this because I think it's priced accordingly where it's like, okay, which direction are they going to go? And I'm not confident really either way on these two teams because I don't want to throw away the Mystics, but I think the Valks have had they've had the less slip ups, I guess, than the Mystics. And they're they have more experience. They're an expansion team. So they're not a team dominated by young players like I think Washington is. So this is one maybe I'll get involved in game or something, but I'm going to sit this out for now.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I do know the Mystics push pace. So that's my concern for the under. That would be the only thing. And Valkyries, I think you're going to score pretty easily. So the Valkyries are now favored here. Ooh, little line change. I wonder if that's a Shakira Austin thing. I'll scour the internet. But I do think that is I just think there's going to be some more desperation for Golden State. They want this game. They need this game. I like the Mystics, but I think the Valkyries are the play here. So you're lean that way, I guess, but you're not ready to pull the trigger.
No, not yet. And with Austin, I know Sidney Johnson said yesterday that he thinks she should be good to go. And some of the stuff at the trade deadline with players, like I think I know she had posted something about losing Aaliyah Edwards, a rookie, and Brittany Sykes, is I think her best friend on the team. So there's something to be for that. You would think, okay, they're professionals, but emotions do certainly creep into this whole deal.
Yeah, playoff push. I just love that they drew a line in the sand on Saturday saying this is a must win, and they won, right? They called their shot, they pointed to center field and hit the homer, right? And then Monday they were all business, a little avenge that 31-point loss in Connecticut and take care of the Sun. So I'm going to ride with it. Usually they're going to come back down to earth, but I think the Mystics are a little flat. I like the line move. I'm going to be on the Valkyries tonight as well. Okay, speaking of the Sun, wow, a little steam. They're probably the biggest favorite they've been all year. 3.5-point home favorites, over under 159 as they host the Chicago Sky, who obviously banged up, shorthanded. They've been spiraling. I've made the argument that Sky are the worst team in the league, not the Sun, even though Connecticut has clearly the worst record. I kind of like the over here. The Sun have been playing hard. I think it's worth mentioning in case anyone's worried about tanking. Both teams do not have their first round pick this year. So they are not incentivized to lose, in case you were trying to think any conspiracy theories along those lines. I I like over, but I've been burned so much. So if I were to do the over, which I'm not, but if I would be on the first half over, this Sky team has been horrendous in the second half. I kind of want to wait to halftime to bet the Sun, but I worry that they're going to be up enough. So um, I'm leaning first half over. That's as far as I'll go right now.
Suns, say for a couple games, have actually, I think, competed. They only lost by 8 against Vegas, did lose by 17 against Golden State on Monday, but you haven't been seeing the Sun get blown out as frequently as you have the Chicago Sky. I want nothing to do with the Chicago Sky. I'm not betting them against anyone right now. They faced that Fever team on Saturday, who is like the walking wounded, right? We know they've lost Ari McDonald, Sidney Colson for the year, and Caitlin Clark still out with no point guard. And I know no Reese for the Sky, but they weren't really winning with her, to be fair. And they got absolutely obliterated. It was embarrassing on Saturday night for the Sky. And then the game before, they lose by 21 to Atlanta. They lost by double digits to Phoenix at home. Like, they've had some really horrible losses that I don't think the Sun have had. So nothing for me in terms of betting the Chicago Sky side. It would be Connecticut or pass. I think I'm going to wait now because the line has had maybe a little bit too much runway now that it's at 3.5. Don't know if I want to go that far to lay with the Connecticut Sun, but looking at a prop, maybe just because of the usage, I would lean a little bit Camila Cardoso over points at 12.5. And I know, she can have some erratic performances. Only had 6, by the way, against the Fever on Saturday, but maybe this could be a buy low. She and Elizabeth Williams it's just like somebody's got to get the usage right. And you're going against Connecticut with Tina Charles, who's still effective offensively, but is older. Tina Charles is an older player. So how much of an urgency is there to be like a real big defensive stopper? I think down low, they have Nelson Akota that can do that, but she can be a little bit inside outside. So not a lot of like true size necessarily for the Sun. So would lean a little bit Cardoso over points, but I want nothing to do with the Sky on the side.
You can have Cordosa. She stinks. I'm done betting on it. I had a same game parlay where I lowered her threshold 6+ rebounds or 8+ nowhere close. She's a waste. I would trade her. She seems like a wonderful person, and I feel bad saying this. I'm not attacking her as a person. I just think because she doesn't have an edge. She's like very nice out there. I think if she had like Angel Reese's motor and Angel Reese's competitiveness, she'd be like the best center in the league because she does have skill, has a little range. She's very smooth when she gets entry passes. She's very decisive and makes a move. It's just getting her the ball and just everything. I just can't get involved with her. It's just you just don't know what you're going to get. So I'm going to pass on that. But I know what you're saying in terms of like the usage in that game. Ryan Huffman saying he likes the fourth quarter team total for the Sky under 19.5. Yeah, that's probably the best way to play this, just given how bad Chicago is. We should mention no Angel Reese for the Sky. I believe she's nursing a back issue. We did have one person chime in. 2 horrible teams, Dirty Reg 22. 2 horrible teams. I'll take the help with the Sky plus 3.5. I don't know, man. I lean favorite here.
And something that was just mentioned about, you get 2 horrible teams like this. It's an old phrase, happy action fun time, when it's like we got 2 teams that know that they're not going to the playoffs. So are they really going to have the sense of urgency to play defense? Because we see this in the NBA too. You might have some younger players, if you got 2 teams that are like, one is 22 and 50 against another team that's, 33 and 41, and they're probably not making the playoffs. And you see them just run up and down the floor, and everybody's going to, try to get theirs. So I'd lean a little bit over. Nothing for me on the side for sure, but over at 150, let's see where it is at Bet Rivers, 159. And there's even some 59.5, but 159, I would certainly lean over here. I think, just 2 bad teams. I think the defense, they can find offense easier than they can find defense. I think these 2 teams.
Yeah, I like this. Brad chiming in. We need Cardoso versus HVL in a one-on-one game and force Doug to bet on it. I giggle every time he criticizes either, in parentheses, and agree. Yeah, I love how there's been like 5 point guards claimed off waivers this regular season. All have been better than HVL. If she didn't have all her followers, she would not have been drafted. Now, I like her competitiveness. I like her effort. I just don't think she's fast enough. But her fundamentals and everything, maybe she comes along. But I just think you need speed at that point guard position, and that's what all these people have been claimed off waivers do. So in terms of this game, if I were to bet the over, and I might, I would only play the first half over because the Sky just hit a wall second half. So 78 is the first half total. I do lean to the over there. I'll probably get involved. I agree with some of our audience that says that the Sun play hard. PD chiming in, the Sun play hard, and I agree. They do. The Sky play hard. They're just kind of incompetent, and their lineups are terrible. They don't have a true point guard. Uzone has come over. I believe she's from Turkey, and that's been a nice addition. But other than that, when they run the offense through Rachel Manham, who I like as a player, she's just not fast enough, and that's what kills the offense. And then they just, unless Rebecca Allen's not shooting, they're just more limited. Whereas the Sun find more ways to score more easily. And Sanaya Rivers off the bench. She was starting. Now she's off the bench. They've put Morrow in, and Rivers is bucket off the bench. Maybe she's more of a focal point. So she's been a nice sort of tweak to the lineup. And I think the Sun are better coached. So I would play the Sun here.
78, I'm not mad at that in terms of the first half
Yeah.
over, and you're getting a little bit of a discount at Bet Rivers, minus 114 on the VIG, but some sharper books kind of like this over as well, or certainly the numbers indicated that. So with the Storm money line, I'm going to add that. I'm going to go over 78 first half, Sky and Sun.
Okay, I like it. First half over 78 for the Sky and the Sun. And I forget, I think Petey mentioned it. Might be the last time the Sun ever get a win at home because the relocation potential
Right.
and their favorite. So circle the wagons, so to speak, down in Foxwoods Casino or whatever it's called in terms of the arena. So I like that action. Good stuff across the board. And there's great stuff under the Betting Weekly umbrella. Let me tell you about it. Betting Weekly Game Bet Match just dropped this morning. Nigel Seeley and Sean Calvert preview this afternoon's round of 16 matches in ATP Cincinnati, including the showdown between Carlos Alcaraz and Luca Nardi. So go check that out. They really know what they're doing. Also, it's football season, college sports rush with Jimmy Ott, Paul Stone, posts Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we got another episode tomorrow. So go check it out with football around the corner. And the baseball picks, just keeping an eye on things. Look, I'm 8-1 in the last 3 shows of Betting Weekly hardball. So I'm keeping an eye on some games and trying to stay hot in that. But Wes, we've been hot on this show. You and I are back on the next Fast Break show. That's Friday, though. So there's no games in the W tomorrow. So we won't have a Betting Weekly Fast Break. Just want to let everyone know. No show tomorrow, but we're back Friday because we'll have a big Friday slate and look ahead to the weekend. And then you and I, though, are working tomorrow because we're on Betting Weekly Hardball. So you and I get seeing a lot of each other in the next couple days. Futures market, Wes, we talked a lot about it the last couple days, some yes, nos. I know a week ago you discussed the Sparks on the yes. If I remember correctly, it's plus 117 to make the playoffs. They didn't get it done yesterday, but they were facing a motivated Liberty team. Any futures stand out? I know you mentioned the Fever dropping. They're it's not crazy they missed the playoffs. They have 11 games left. They have a really tough schedule in my eyes. I think it's not likely, but 3-8 is not that crazy with their final 11 games. Just because they play the Lynx a couple times, they got to go to Atlanta. They have a West Coast trip where they face the Valkyries and the Mercury. And if the Sparks could catch them, it's not that crazy. Are you concerned here with the Fever and with Caitlin Clark? Really, no timetable right now.
Well, and it's been put out that maybe like it's a lot of it's anticipatory, but that maybe August 22nd against Seattle at home, because then they got that road trip, that difficult road trip at the end of the month. So like the team total wins right now. Let me look and see this at Bet Rivers. I believe over
So there's
24
15 and 7. The Fever right now are 18 and 15. Okay. So on the screen here, 24 and a half, overs minus 148. So heavily juiced. So 18 and 15 is 33. So that means 11 games to go, and they would need 7 wins. So they have to go 7-4. I don't
Ooh,
see
yeah,
that at all.
I don't either. I think that's why I think that's a little bit of a better bet than Fever missed the playoffs because I still think, let's say you finish at 24 wins. I think 24 and 20 is getting you in the top 8, for sure.
Oh, yes.
I think
I
for
think the
sure.
losing
So
record was.
yeah, yeah. So I would maybe look a little bit under because I'm just looking down the schedule. That Dallas game was a big missed opportunity. After you beat the Sky, this was a chance to get right. You had 3 straight home games against 3 teams that were out of the playoffs, or at least likely today to miss the playoffs. Chicago, Dallas, and Washington. And then you blew one to Dallas. Actually, you didn't. Dallas took over in the third quarter, and Fever had to rally just to make it competitive late. And then you have Washington, and then you have at Connecticut, and then you have 2 with Minnesota, home and away. Seattle at home, at LA, who's beaten them 3 times, at Golden
I,
State, who's also beaten them twice already this season, and then at Phoenix, and then Chicago at home, at Washington, and then Minnesota to close out the regular season on September 9th. I think that that's going to be hard to get 7 wins out of those last 11. And keep in mind, let's say Caitlin does come back on August 22nd. Takes some time. She's not going to be full minutes.
she
It
could get rehurt,
right.
right?
Right.
Re-injured.
Because I when they brought her back with the other injury earlier this year, they were kind of playing her in like 4 or 5 minute intervals. And then that's what they were doing. And that's tough to get into a rhythm for a team. And now you've been playing so long without her. It's like now you got to incorporate somebody that's going to, she can play off the ball, but she's going to be handling the ball. You want her, making plays with the ball. And plus now you need it with the point guards because you don't have any backups. Because Kelsey Mitchell, for all she can do, and she's a big time scorer, you saw in the last possession last night, dribble, 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 couldn't get loose, couldn't get a shot up. And then Stephanie White calls that timeout with like 1.7 left to go. It's like, maybe I would have done something with 12 seconds left to go off the free throw and off the rebound, maybe then call a timeout instead of, waiting. It's like she's got nowhere to go. Yeah, I thought poor coaching, poor execution down the stretch by the Fever last night.
And A agrees with you. He says Steph White called the timeout way too late. So thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And Dirty Rag 22 says sharp show. I love it. We appreciate that
Thank you.
shout out. We always appreciate compliments, but give any sort of feedback, good, bad, constructive is always welcomed as well. I'm going to make that an official play, Wes. I'm going to play the Fever under 24.5 wins plus 108.
I'm with you.
So that's an
I'll
adjusted
join.
win total. Okay.
I'm with you
All
on
right,
that.
Wes, fading his hometown Fever doesn't mean they have to lose every game. They can still get in the playoffs, but
And
I agree.
And I feel guilty about
I
it.
think they're playing like the we just want to sneak in thing.
Right.
Like they're playing the long game, giving Caitlin Clark every day.
Right. But now, I just got my Fever, the Stranger Things uniforms, the logo they've been wearing. I got my T-shirt in the mail the other day, and now I'm fading them. So because I watch pretty much every game for this team, and Kate credit 22, even though she's not playing, she's gotten me invested in this team, and a lot of people invested, and they're seeing right now a lot of ups and downs. And the team is tough though; they have fought through adversity, but I just think the numbers. They're going to get in the playoffs, but man, ask them to win 7 of 11 with a couple games with Minnesota there, actually 3 games with Minnesota, a game at Phoenix, who just absolutely obliterated them last week. And we're certainly motivated with the DeWanna Bonner parting of ways with the Fever from early in the season. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. And then you're incorporating your ball dominant star player. So, they make it in, but I think it's going to be by the hair on their chinny chin chin. They're going to be maybe like a 7 or 8 by the time this is all said and done.
Yeah, it's funny. The write up, the game, the recap was talking about home court advantage in the first round. I'm like, they just need to get in and healthy because they've lost both point guard backups for the year. So like Odyssey Sims is okay, but
She
that
was
offense
lost
bogs
last
down.
night. She was lost last night, but it was her first game, so I'm not going
First game.
to, panic necessarily. And the Fever have shown capability to beat anybody on any given night, winning that Commissioner's Cup at Minnesota, beating the Liberty, putting 100 back on them when it was Caitlin's return back in June. But they've also, like last night, showed the ability. Now, they don't lose to the Sky. They don't lose to the Chicago Sky. They own them, but they lost earlier in the season to Connecticut. They lost to Dallas last night, so they can beat anybody and lose to anybody. So I think that's a big reach to think that they're going to win 25 games.
Yeah, because they're not really trying to, right? Like that's the whole thing. They're not really trying to. So, all right, good stuff. So that's going to do it for this edition. Again, no betting weekly fast break tomorrow. We do have a show on Friday. That's would be Wes and I, but we hope you check out the baseball show, Betting Weekly Hardballs. Wes and I will be hosting that. That's 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. So for Wes Reynolds and everyone else behind the scenes that does the heavy lifting to make everything look so great, I'm Doug Kezirian. Good luck with your wagers. We'll see you back here tomorrow for Betting Weekly Fast Break, and then back here tomorrow for Betting Weekly Hardball, and then back here on Friday for Betting Weekly Fast Break.